Magical Mr. C to answer a question of what is true talent. Now, talent to some is measured by ability. I measure talent by success because talent is not something that you're necessarily born with. Talent is something that's developed along the way. There are some people that have a natural proclivity toward a particular skill set that does not make them talented. It just makes them pliable. Versus somebody that does not have a natural proclivity toward their special interest or skill set. They have to work harder. I submit to you, though, that that time that is spent working harder is a much more rewarding result because that person is spending more of that time to get to that place where that other person finds it just natural. They have a better appreciation of it, and they have a better discipline about it because they've had to actually work. They've had to actually engage in discipline. Whereas the person that has a natural ability towards something doesn't have to work as hard, naturally doesn't have the kind of appreciation of the disciplines that are required. So, talent is developed along the way. Now, what about those, say, for example, that have a restrictive ability, not just not a simple proclivity, but an actual restrictive ability? Say, for example, a magician not having hands. Well, in history, there have been magicians that have operated with limited digits. One is Matthew Buchinger, who was virtually without arms and legs. He had arms, but they were very stubby. He didn't really have any hands, yet he was able to not only graph Bible verses in microscopic detail, but he was a master of the cups and balls, and he was a great, great magician. Yet he didn't have fingers. He had stumps, and he was about, I think, maybe about 2 feet tall because he didn't have legs either. He just had stumps. He was able to navigate. He was able to compensate and overcome his deficiencies. Now, what about somebody that can't really sing? Well, there have been musicians that have compensated over the years. One example, a fairly recent example, is the late Joe Cocker. Joe Cocker was a very raspy sounding musician or singer, and some people liked his work, some people didn't. Was he an opera singer? Was he a Luciano Pavarotti singer? No, absolutely not. But in his genre, he basically carved his own path. He made up his own rules, and he became talented in his own right. Another was Florence Foster Jenkins. Those of you that have seen the movie with Meryl Streep know what I'm talking about. But those of you that have not seen that movie, I encourage you to go see that movie. It's an amazing movie about an amazing woman who had a lot of deficiencies. One was that she couldn't sing. She was a very talented musician at one point, but she lost that ability due to mercury poisoning because she had syphilis. Now, I wanted to focus a little bit about her singing. She thought of herself as a great singer, yet she really couldn't carry a tune, but she was able to sell it to people. People thought she was very comedic, although she didn't think of herself as funny. She thought herself a very serious artist and was devastated to find out that people treated it as a joke, as it was funny. On the other hand, had she had lived, she could have turned that around and created her own little niche with it. Another example of somebody that had or has real technical abilities, but really didn't have the look of talent, is the great Susan Boyle. She came on stage at America's Got Talent and she was virtually laughed at. They thought that she was a joke. She was going to just bomb just by looking at her. And then she opened her mouth and began singing, and people fell in love with her. Why? Because she has an angelic voice. And she'd been singing for years. And she wanted to try her luck out on America's Got Talent, or Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent. And she ended up having there for a few years a very successful music career. She's retired now. She got married and retired. But she did it on her own terms. She did it the way she wanted to do. She carved out basically her own path. And I think talent is something that's developed along the way. It's measured by success. It's not necessarily measured by technical abilities necessarily. Or how about this? How about not just judged by technical abilities? It's, I believe, judged by success. It's developed along the way. And that, in a nutshell, is what talent is. From a magician's perspective, magical Mr. C, that is. If you like what you see, hit that like, subscribe, and share with one another. Have a good one. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.